Just like to welcome Kojaque to BIMM here today. Give us a round of
Hello.
applause there. Go on. Ah, yeah. Just coming back to, you're talking about English attitudes to Ireland. That character, Jackie Dandelion, I think I read somewhere you were talking about him as this like lowbrow Irish Celtic Tiger chancer kind of thing. So I'm curious, like two things here. One, how much, like what is the inspiration? Where does it come from? Because I know there's like a Fontaine's reference in it and stuff. But then secondly, hip hop, like is a lot of it is about, like a lot of the kind of tropes in hip hop culture about honesty and realness. Like how much of you is Jackie Dandelion?
Yeah, like a lot of it is just, I suppose, just personality. Like, I just thought Jackie Dandelion is a really funny name and like a really funny, like, those kind of like misheard on Dublin bus type shit. Like, oh, that Jackie Dandelion song by Fontaines is unreal. Like that sort of shit. So, and then it kind of like worked out nicely with like Kojaque, Jackie. I suppose like a character in my mind anyway is just like a really nice vehicle for a story and like a means by which I think you can kind of step yourself out of what you're writing and kind of allow it to go somewhere that maybe you're not comfortable doing if it's just feels like it's like just you. But at the same time, it's kind of like auto fiction. Like for the most part, it'd be my own experience. Spoken through a character or spoken through a story, but it's not necessarily my exact experience, if that makes sense. So, yeah, there's always parts of you in everything. Like even if you're writing weird abstract music, that's what your personality or whatever, like your taste is at the time. So there is parts of you in that, even if it doesn't feel like you at all, or you're writing about fucking, ground control to Major Tom or whatever. It's still like, it doesn't mean that it's not you.
I think you're someone who really makes records, like full bodies of work. Where do you think the place is for the album in this like kind of short content or short form content age that we're in now?
I don't think I'm ever gonna just be focusing on singles because it's just I prefer albums because I like the escapism in them, like being able to put something on front to back and like being like this is fucking sick, and there's like a little world, even down to the textures that people choose to use or the sound design that they'll add into albums. I think that's all like world building. And in terms of short form content and how it kind of affects music, it's kind of a good and a bad thing. I think there's a lot of stuff that's like unusual and left field that seems to be becoming very popular because of short form content. It's all kind of like how you use it, and kind of understanding the medium and not letting that get in the way of the artistry. So, like, if the short form content is the means by which an audience finds your music, then fucking use it. Like, but don't let that be the first thing you do. And fucking please God, do not be like, hey TikTok, what do you think of this song? And if no one responds to you, you put the fucking song down. That's the dumbest shit I've ever seen. I fucking hate that. So don't do that. Let the audience in when it's finished. That would be my opinion. And leak your music, but leak it when it's done. Yeah. I just see that happen so often where like people are like, "Oh, what do you think of this tune?" Like it happens. A lot of my friends are producers, and I fucking feel for them because they work with so many different artists. And what a lot of labels are pushing for now is like essentially you like test your tracks out on an audience. It's kind of like, when you hear like, I don't know, like product testing where they would bring a fucking test audience in and show them a film, and then they change the film depending on what the test audience liked and that sort of stuff. Feels like that, but a lot of my producer mates are kind of like, yeah, I've got songs with people and they like soft launched it on TikTok and it didn't take, and so they're not using it anymore. In my mind, that's not what the platform should be used for, and it's not how you should approach music because it completely devalues your experience and it completely devalues what your relationship is to that music and what it does for you. Like for me, like writing and art is just like a means by which I understand the world a little better, understand my own experience. So I don't let anybody into that. Like it's not for an audience to see until it is. Yeah. Like that'd be my opinion on it anyway. But you can use the tools to your advantage as well. It's not like it's just all negative. Like there's loads of positives about it as well. Like being able to do shit without a label, like being able to promote your music for free, essentially. Like, as much promo as you want. It's kind of like, yeah, there's pros and cons, but some aspects of it, I think, interfere with the creative process and some help it. You just got to understand which is which.
Great. Okay. Thanks for that. Great advice. Just still on this topic, then. I mean, another kind of current conversation in the music industry is how, like, TikTok specifically is changing the role of the music video. Like, you're someone who has always made, like, in my opinion, really high quality music videos, and they've always been a big part of your art and your aesthetic. I was going to ask something about videos. Yeah,
like,
just
has it changed my
has it
opinion or
changed?
anything?
Yeah.
I think, like, yeah, annoyingly, it's kind of, I don't know what's happening with YouTube, essentially, but I still love like music videos, and I feel like I've kind of been told, like, from when I started, people aren't watching music videos. Stop making them. I don't give a fuck. I love making them, and I love, like, the treatments, and it's very difficult, but I've always loved film, and I've always loved, like, film and TV and music videos in particular. I think were a big component to that. So they're for me, So I love making them. I think the big problem for the most part is just actually getting people to look at the stuff you're making, and having them stop on whatever is, happening on your page or that sort of shit. But yeah, I don't think I'm ever going to stop making the music videos. They're very expensive. And from, like, a purely numbers point of view, I don't think, like, there's a lot of reasons not to make them, basically, and it's all mainly money. But I enjoy them, and I think they're just, like, such a nice Easter egg for anybody who's like an audience member or a fan. Like, I love coming across a new artist, like, on Spotify or whatever, and going to their YouTube and finding their music videos, and that's, like, a whole different like, aspect of their work. I fucking love that. I feel like that's what separates just, like, someone who I kind of passively listen to, someone who I become a fan of.
Yeah.
It's just like, shit, this stuff looks fucking cool. It's like fully realized it's got its own little world as well. Like, I love that shit. Yeah.
How has it been living in London the last few years? Like, how has your view of Dublin and Ireland changed, seeing it from a different perspective?
I mainly hang out with Irish people, so in that sense, it's not all that different. But yeah, there is just, like, a lot of ignorance. Not necessarily their fault. It's mainly the education system, but that's kind of what it's there for. It's like a lot of people asking you, did you take the train over? People assuming that, like, Dublin is just a part of England, and a lot of people not knowing Ireland is not connected to England physically.
Okay.
You know what I mean? It's crazy. Like, also the wealth difference is mad. The wealth gap, if that makes sense. Like, proper aristocracy, proper, like, old money. That you really wouldn't see, and there it is a lot different. I think maybe we're just more subtle with it, but classism, I think, is a lot more prominent in their culture, even just down to, like, accents and the way people talk, and how people are judged by that and that sort of thing. So that feels a lot more prominent there. But I think we have the same thing, but it's maybe more subtle.
I mean, even with the accent thing, it's interesting because obviously on Delhi Daydreams, you talked about the postcodes and the accents in that kind of sense.
Yeah.
Has your view of Dublin changed at all, being in London, or?
I don't know. I don't know how much it's changed. It's kind of still like a love-hate relationship. Like, I fucking love Dublin, and I love the people. Like, they're unreal. But it's kind of like it hasn't changed in the sense that it's still the same government, and it's still the same systemic issues. But I think there is a lot of people that are working to do a lot of good shit to change that, like Give Us the Night. So it's not that it's, like, unchangeable. It's just it does take a lot of effort. But, I think for the most part, people are in the same boat on it and do have the same opinions on it. So it's not that the people aren't there to change it. It's just, like, getting them activated, if that makes sense, and, like,
totally.
galvanized.
Yeah, absolutely.